Obama on his handling of the Middle East and Iran. We'll bring you that speech live in the next hour of Newsroom. Okay, the countdown is on to the first vice presidential debate this Thursday night at 7 Eastern. The candidates will face off in a one-on-one where, unlike the first presidential debate, all topics will be on the table. So let's talk about that. CNN contributor and Democratic strategist Maria Cardona is here, and Republican strategist Ron Bonjean joins us too. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Carol.
I must say I'm more excited for the vice presidential debate than the next presidential debate, Maria.
I am too, Carol, and then obviously there's a lot riding on this one for the Democrats, and I think you're going to see Joe Biden really come out swinging. He is somebody who can be very fiery on the stump. In fact, his convention speech was one of the best out there, and it was in fact the one that was most viewed. And he is seen as somebody who's a real champion for the middle class, Carol, and he is up against Paul Ryan, who is the quintessential example of a plan that would actually hurt the middle class if we implement everything that he's talking about. So it's going to be a very great night, I think, for Biden to really make that contrast, which I think was a little bit of a missed opportunity for President Obama in his debate.
And Ron, it'll be a contrast in so many ways. Just in age, I think that Paul Ryan was 3 years old when Joe Biden started debating.
Well, you know, that's right. Paul Ryan is younger, and we're hoping that Biden does come out swinging and makes one of his infamous gaffes, like talking about how the middle class has been struggling over the last 4 years, or that he wants to raise, the Obama administration wants to raise taxes by, over $1 trillion. I mean, this is the Joe Biden we want, and Joe Biden has to be careful about going too hard at Paul Ryan because of just that, because of the gaffes, and because he could look overbearing. And Paul, a lot is riding on Paul Ryan. We want to keep that momentum going from that first debate, and he has to be careful not to get into the weeds of some of these policies.
I know, because he tends to be quite wonkish at times, and people listen to him and say, "What?"
Well, that's right, and it's important that Ryan stick with the big picture and go after Biden on the rising debt and our skyrocketed unemployment, and talk about the failed last 4 years, as opposed to being, trying to get trapped in some of the Biden spiderwebs that he'll try to weave.
And it appears, Maria, that Joe Biden is really taking this seriously, because the Democrats don't want a repeat of the first debate, right? So Joe Biden apparently has taken 6 days off, and he's practicing, especially with zingers.
Yeah, absolutely, and he should be taking it seriously. But look, I think Ron is right in that Biden has to be a little bit careful not to come out and look like he is such an attack dog against the younger Ryan. But at the same time, I think that it's a terrific opportunity to, again, make that contrast with Paul Ryan. And look, Ron talked about Biden's gaffes, but Paul Ryan is not gaffe-free. And in fact, there are various speeches where he has basically been videotaped and seen talking about how the majority of Americans are takers and not makers. And I think that is a sentence that Joe Biden can really use against Paul Ryan, and focus again on the contrast between really wanting to grow the middle class, which is what Obama wants to do, versus Paul Ryan and his plan. He's the architect of the plan that Romney has embraced, that will do a lot of damage to the middle class.
Well, let me just ask a last question of Ron Bonjean about that, because Ryan's policies are different than Mitt Romney's, and I'm sure that Joe Biden will bring that up during the debate. So Paul Ryan really has to make sure that he's talking on behalf of Mitt Romney, which sometimes isn't so easy to do.
Well, in a debate like this, you have to talk 30,000 feet, because you're talking to voters that don't necessarily know who you are or what policies you're talking about. So you want to focus on Mitt Romney's conservative policies broadly, and how they would help the middle class, how they would grow jobs, how they would reduce the debt and the deficit. You don't want to be at a budget committee hearing getting, parsing numbers, so to speak. And I think Paul Ryan has done an excellent job representing the middle class. Coming from a Wisconsin background, he's been able to put that state into play and to keep this momentum going. So I think we're going to see a great debate night this Thursday.
I know, can't wait. Ron Bonjean, Maria Cardona, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
It was billed as a rumble in a temperature-controlled room, but things sure did heat up this weekend. The Daily Show's Jon Stewart facing off with Fox News' Bill O'Reilly at a mock debate. And if last week's presidential debate left you hungry for zingers, well, these guys